Alright, so back after a few week break from Kamen Zeztz for the winter holidays and New Year's. So yeah, episodes 16 and 17. So in this two-parter, we start off with Baku in a dream where there's a crowd gathered to watch a show by Nem or some kind of presentation that's going on with Nem in it as I think a fashion model. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know idol culture in Japan, so not sure exactly what it is, but I believe it's something like that. And she gets dressed up as Little Red Riding Hood by the costume person that she's behind the stage with, and or backstage with, and the woman that she's with turns out to be the nightmare of this two-parter, who, as we'll see in a bit, decides to eat Nem. So yeah, Nem has basically been cast in a dream as a victim, I believe. So yeah, so she can't really stand up to the nightmare at all. So yeah, Baku, after an announcement that Nem is missing and thus can't come out to do the show, takes off to find the nightmare, catches up to it, asks where Nem is, to which the nightmare says, "How should I know?" and promptly drives off on his motorcycle. So yeah, Baku Baku goes out onto the roof of the building and encounters Zero, who starts to scold him a bit after, the last episode where he let Nox go. So yeah, or Otoka. So yeah, and he kind of disobeyed orders right there. So yeah, to which Baku says that he'll just not ask for Zero's help, but unfortunately gets woken up when he crashes out of bed. So yeah, he goes he goes into the base and sees, or the headquarters, and sees Minami serving, I'm assuming it's tea and some snacks to Fujimi and Nazca. Baku and Fujimi make up after what happened in the last two episodes, and then Baku explains to them, I believe, what happened, but also Fujimi and Nazca tell him that Otaka went missing after they finally tracked him down, and yeah. Um, so then we see Otaka getting a new capsum from the woman from the previous episode and goes off in his mission. So yeah. So then, because Baku told them that Nem is missing in the dream world, he and Minami go to investigate the hospital where Nem was before she went missing 4 years prior. So yeah, and Minami was able to find out through her connections at work the fact that she was there before she went missing. Baku sees a nurse who was in his dream. He has her recognize him by saying what he said in the dream about being Minami's like number one fan or something like that. I forget the exact line, but yeah. She then explains to them that Nem was actually at the hospital before she went missing. She basically walked in on or into Nem's room, but found her missing. So yeah. So then after that, Baku and Minami start to walk away, and he's basically still trying to find Nem. So he goes into his room, goes to sleep, and goes to talk to Zero in his dream, to which he apologizes uh, for not following orders as Zero expected him to, and he owns up to it and everything. But and he figures that out because he basically just realizes he's still a low-ranking agent in in code. So yeah. However, while he does promise to follow his orders as best he can for this mission, he makes Zero promise him to tell him basically what he wants to know about the agency and everything, because of the fact that he is still a bit skeptical of the agency after what Nox, or what he found out from Nox in the last episodes. So, yeah. Zero promises him that he'll explain stuff to him as long as he finishes the mission. And, yeah. So it hands him back the phone that he left on his desk. So, yeah. So then they take off. They get to where Nox is. Or actually, no, where the Nightmare is. Baku traps the Nightmare. But then Nox enters in his Nox Knight outfit or suit. Zero has Baku go after the Nightmare while he deals with Nox, and yeah, so then Zero is able to effectively take the Night Invoker back from Nox with the use of the sword that he gives Baku to fight with every episode, along with a mystery capsum that we don't know what exactly it does yet. At least we don't really get it explained this episode. It probably will be in one of the next few episodes or so. And yeah, he gets the Night Invoker back, so Nox is de-transformed back to normal. But then he takes out the Nox driver and uses a shadow capsum to transform into Kamen Rider Nox. Yeah. Not every day you see a Kamen Rider named after a specific character, but this is actually pretty cool. So yeah, and I say that having not watched a lot of other Kamen Riders. So yeah, I actually really like I immediately forgot, the Nox driver. It's very interesting in design because it has two things on it for the capsums, to which the capsums split open for what he uses, which is very interesting. I'm assuming that's sort of a safeguard or to stop people from being able to take out the capsum that he's using to transform and everything. And on top of that, it has a few different things that are very reminiscent of past Kamen Riders. Mainly the belt itself has a flip gimmick that is very similar, or a flip feature to transform, which is very similar to Kamen Rider ZO, in my opinion. And has a very similar thing to it as well, because ZO uses the ride watches to transform and everything, and he uses them in the belt or he flips the belt around to do the transformation. So that immediately reminded me of that. Then his suit. It's very reminiscent of Kamen Rider Build to me, because Build has like half and half suits where they're mixed up of different combinations of things that he whips up. I'm not exactly sure, because I haven't watched Kamen Rider Build, so I'm not exactly sure what they are, but I remember from Heisei Generations Forever that he shakes them up, puts them into the belts that he has, hits a button, and then transforms and everything. It's very similar to that, although this is more like half and half Kamen Rider suits. It reminds me also of Kamen Rider Double a little bit, because of the two halves of the suits and everything being different colors. But yeah, it's very interesting, and I'm assuming with this he will be able to mix and match capsums maybe to make the two halves of the suit. I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see. Plus, the colors on the blue and orange half kind of reminded me of Kamen Rider Build's suit as well. So yeah, it actually looks pretty cool. And yeah, with this power, because it's more powerful than his Nox Knight form, he is able to destroy Zero's robot body. Yeah, and takes what we find out to be his memory core. So yeah, that contains his personality and brain and everything. So yeah, back to his boss and everything. Who we find out basically just wanted him to bring her Nox, but didn't really say to destroy him. But Nox kind of took a loophole with that, as I already just explained. He just brought her Nox's, or not Nox's, Zero's memory core. So yeah, it just makes it makes enough sense. But yeah, Baku is then woken up when he's trying to confront the nightmare to get Nem back, and yeah, he goes into the headquarters to see Zero's robot body in the real world is just shattered to pieces and everything, rather than being its motorcycle form. So yeah, and Minami's also wondering what the hell just happened. Partly because it's still night, so yeah, neither of them should have woken up or anything. So yeah. So then, after talking again with Fujimi and Nazca about everything, with Fujimi walking out to continue investigating Otaka's disappearance, or his newest disappearance, and the lady, I forget her name. I'm sorry. The wiki just says the lady. So there you go. Baku goes to talk with the nurse again from the previous episode. And by the way, we're on episode 17. And she eventually comes clean with the fact that she intercepted, or she walked in on a woman in Nem's room the night that she disappeared. The woman basically put a spell on her so that everything was okay with what she was doing, and she was the one to take Nem. So yeah. So then Minami and Baku do research on the woman and really can't find any information on her outside of like what they are told, I believe, I'm assuming by the nurse. So yeah. And this is one thing where I like Shout Factory's like subtitle work for the series. They not only translate the dialogue, at least for the YouTube uploads, where they're also uploading or they're also hard subbing the subtitles and stuff on screen. When they do that, they translate the important text that you need to know on screen, which I actually really like, because otherwise, unless you can read Japanese or you have a translator app pointed at the screen, you can't read shit. So yeah. Baku then answers a question that I had and has a new recovery capsum and uses it to fix Nox's robot body and turns it back into the motorcycle form. Unfortunately, because he doesn't know that Nox's like memory core was taken, it doesn't fix that. But yeah, and he uses the super form capsule that he got in the last episode to restore the bike, at the very least, to working order in terms of like power and everything, and uses it to go and catch up to the nightmare and everything again. And when he does, he gets to a dam and but gets intercepted by Nox. They start fighting, and Baku pretty much holds his own. He uses his the plasma, the lightning yellow form from the last episode, and fights Nox to a pretty good degree, but ultimately Nox, I believe, does win for the most part, because Baku is very clearly winded and kind of hurt. So yeah. But Nox just lets Baku take off to catch up to the nightmare. The nightmare says that he has digested Nem, but Baku doesn't want to believe that, so he takes the impact capsum in his human form and uses it to power himself up and kick Nem right out of the nightmare. So, yeah. And as soon as he's about to fight the nightmare again, Nox comes in his Kamen Rider Nox form and just kills the nightmare for him and takes off. So, yeah. Baku wonders why he did that, and Nox says because nightmares are just tools. So, yeah, which is consistent with how he's been in previous episodes with that. So, yeah. The nightmare turns into a butterfly, then flies over the nurse from earlier, whose dream Baku was technically in, and she and Otaka have a conversation about what just happened, and Otaka basically says that was a risky move with using the nightmare the way that she did, but she doesn't really care because she still got what she wanted. So yeah, because it was all to lure out Zero. So yeah, so then Baku returns to the hospital for a second to see the nurse walking with a patient who's still recovering in a wheelchair, and yeah, and he says that he hopes that she has pleasant dreams or good dreams from now on. So yeah, and as he's walking away, he feels a weird pain in his head, and a woman who I believe is the lady in a disguise walks up to him and says, "Are you okay?" He says, "Yeah, I just felt, I think dizzy, or just a pain or whatever." And she says, "Have you been getting enough sleep at night?" And hands him a card, basically telling him that she's a therapist and that if he ever needs help to call her, which a little weird, and I think he's initially weirded out by it as well. But then he gets a text on the his agent phone, and he's being informed about his next mission, and we see a guy who we presume is code number 3. So, yeah, because he has a ring on one of his fingers, like Baku does in his dreams, and Otaka used to have, that says the number 3. So, yeah, and that's what it leaves off on. So, we have that. So, it's really just crazy the way that these episodes are forwarding parts of the story. We don't know much about what's going on with the new lady that Nox is working for and everything. But we have more clues about Nem, with the fact that she's more than likely still alive, though the nurse doesn't think that she is because it's been 4 years. And just that the fact that that Nem is, or more than likely has been kidnapped by the lady, and Nox, and is being kept somewhere, probably on some sort of life support in a medically induced coma, is what I'm assuming is going on, because that's what happened with Otaka, for him to stay in the dream for as long as he did, or the dream realm as long as he was, or did. It's honestly just really ramping up, I think, with this stuff. But we got a really interesting move with Nox taking out Zero. And it's just really, really interesting that they would play that. And the fact that they wouldn't play it for, I think, more drama, I think, is very interesting. Because, like, what they do is that they have it be a more personal thing between Nox and Zero. But they don't have him be destroyed right in front of Baku to be, or to send some sort of message. I'm assuming that that code knows what happened, and thus that's why number 3 is now giving Baku his orders and everything. And I believe as well, because of the way that they shot it, that number 3 is now in the at least the dream version of the headquarters that that Baku has connected to his room and everything. And it's very interesting. I was kind of expecting just a normal like two-parter where we got stuff that began and concluded in the two-parter and didn't really lead into the next however many episodes. But this is just a very interesting way that they're doing this, shaking up the status quo. Granted, we didn't really have this status quo for long in terms of like Minami knowing about Baku's secret agent stuff and Nox being around and being a Kamen writer and everything. But it's also an interesting way to ramp up the drama and the tension and everything, and the mysteries that are currently going on, because we don't know a lot about what's going on. We are being very kind of slowly drip fed information, and I honestly like it. Minami as well. I really love that she is being supportive of Baku's agent job and everything. Basically, she just seems like she has the attitude of, I don't care what you do in life as long as you do what makes you happy and you do what you feel is best for yourself to do and everything. And that is very, very good. She is a very loving, supportive sister, and it's like I said in the last however many like ones of these podcast episodes, it's very nice to see a sibling relationship like that, because it could easily be put in a way that that is just really stupid, where she like constantly scolds him for stuff and doesn't want him doing the job and whatever. But she also, I'm assuming, gets that he's been doing the secret agent stuff for a while, and he's also good enough at it that he is competent at his job and he's not going to get himself killed. And she just instantly proves herself to be of use to Baku when he needs it, because of the fact that she was able to get the information on where Nem used to be in the hospital. And yeah, he wouldn't have been able to find it out at least that easily. So that's actually really cool. And she's a valuable asset. One thing I want to see if it happens, in terms of a prediction, is so when Nox's robot body got destroyed, or not Nox's, Zero's body got destroyed by Nox, the Night Invoker traveled with him into the real world version of Baku's headquarters, and it's damaged from the explosion, but I would really be intrigued to see if Minami would become a secondary Kamen Rider and use the Nox or the Night Invoker to become that Kamen Rider. Because to be honest, I don't see anyone else doing it. And it would just be very interesting to see like a brother-sister duo in the series. I don't know if that's been done before in Kamen Rider, but I would love to see it be done in this series at the very least. So yeah, the fact that Nox has the second belt just given to him off screen is a little weird. I'd figure that they would have had a bit of an establishing shot of it existing, because I don't think it was in the last 2 episodes at all. But yeah, and it's not too hard to see why he just destroyed Zero's robot body, because like he wanted to get vengeance and everything. That's basically why he's doing the things that he is. But yeah, and it's we shall see what happens next on Kamen Rider Zeztz. So yeah, guys. Really not much else to say on this. So yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, links to the description, all my shit. Subscribe if you want, and I'll see you guys in the next one.